What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Slayer series, episode 4. We're getting pretty close to the end of the series with only 2 episodes to go after this one, and in case you're just tuning into the series, check out the description for links to all of the other episodes. This series is a progressive series where we walk through the Slayer skill, so in order to catch up to where we currently are, you might want to check out the episodes in order to give yourself an idea of the direction we're currently moving in. Alright everybody, so last week we checked out our second to last Slayer Master on our way to 99. The Slayer Master we looked into last week was Neve, who you can find hanging out outside her cave in the Gnome Stronghold. Prior to Neve, we were using Chaeldar, located in the throne room of the lost city of Zanaris, and our first Slayer Master we were seeing was Vanaka, who was located in the Edgeville dungeon near the Wilderness Gate. By this time in our Slayer journey, we're well past 85 combat, probably have a nice Slayer level of over 70, and we're about to hit the home stretch all the way to level 99, and, in my opinion, one of the most badass skill capes. We're coming up on our last available Slayer Master now. The last and most popular Slayer Master we're going to be encountering is Duradel. Before we get into everything about Duradel, and some other Slayer do's and don'ts, we're going to need a couple of requirements to reach Duradel so we can get our tasks from him. First things first, like every Slayer Master, we're going to have a minimum combat level requirement to use Duradel. Duradel is the most powerful Slayer Master in the game, and by comparison, gives the hardest tasks. Duradel's combat level requirement is 100. You gotta have that triple digit combat level requirement to use him. Compared to Neve, Duradel gives many of the same tasks, but generally in a greater amount. Compared to Neve, some of the task weights are a bit different as well. Task weight is a funny thing. It's actually the formula that is used to calculate the odds of receiving a particular Slayer task. Without getting into it too much, the formula for a task's calculated weight is W over S times 100%. What this breaks down to is W equals weight and S equals the sum of all weight for a Slayer Master. So, using Abyssal Demons as an example, Neve's task weight is 9 while Duradel's task weight is 12. Assuming all tasks are unlocked, Neve has a total task weight of 222, while Duradel's is 262. So if we plug in this to the formula, the chances you'll get an Abyssal Demon task through Neve are about 25 in 222, while Duradel's is about 22 in 262. So, in this respect, you have a smaller chance of getting Abyssal Demons from Duradel, but in a greater amount. Duradel also assigns more different tasks than Neve, making the total task weight higher. If you're confused, don't worry, I was at first too. I just added this in to give a little bit of background information on how your tasks are assigned. Duradel has the most difficult task weight, thus why he's the strongest Slayer Master who requires the highest combat level. So now that I'm done confusing the hell out of you, we'll get on to our second requirement. In order to get to Duradel's location, we're going to need to complete the Shiloh Village quest. In addition to the Shiloh Village quest, we'll also need to complete Jungle Potion, as it is a prerequisite. Jungle Potion isn't too hard, and it's pretty short, so if you haven't done Jungle Potion yet, but you're ready to use Duradel, you'll be just fine. So after we complete Jungle Potion, we can move on to the Shiloh Village quest. Shiloh Village quest does have some level requirements. You're going to need to have at least 20 crafting, 32 agility, and 4 smithing. The 32 agility requirement is boostable, so in reality, we only need a level of 29 agility and an agility potion, which can be made if you have the Herblore level or bought from the Grand Exchange. As for the smithing requirement, it's not necessarily needed, but only if you'd like to smith your own bronze wire. If you don't feel like it, just grab one from the Grand Exchange when you get your agility potion. As much as I'd like to walk you guys through these quests, it would take way too much time and stray from our overall objective of this series. So as usual, if you need a guide to these quests, check out the description where I've linked the RS Wiki quest guides to Jungle Potion and Shiloh Village. Moving along, now that we've got these quests out of the way, we're ready to take on Duradel as our final Slayer Master. Now I've been slaying for a long time and gotten a lot of hands-on experience. What I have found is that the final 2 Slayer Masters differ in really only one way. If you want faster experience, you're going to want to use Neve to level 99. But if you want more money, use Duradel to 99. For the purpose of this series, we're going to stick with Duradel because this series is all about making the most cash. Being the highest level Slayer Master, Duradel awards 15 points for every completed task. And, just like every other Slayer Master, Duradel gives bonus points for every 10th, 50th, 100th, 250th, and 1000th task completed in a row. The bonus points are as follows: 75 points every 10th task, 225 points every 50th task, 375 points every 100th task, 525 points every 250th task, and 750 points every 1000th task. Being the highest level Slayer Master, Duradel gives the best bonus task points in the game aside from Crystallia. Cristelia gives a lot more bonus points, but her tasks require you to complete them in the wilderness, so it's understandable that her bonuses would be more. But if you're thinking about doing your normal points tasks with Duradel, then your bonus ones with Cristelia don't bother. They are on a completely separate task counter, so doing 9 tasks at Duradel and then your 10th task at Cristelia will not work. Last episode, we really started to get into what we should be spending our Slayer points on, so this week we're going to continue on with that. So now that we're getting up there in combat level, and Slayer level for that matter, I believe our next unlock should be Like a Boss. Like a Boss gives your Slayer Master the ability to assign you boss monsters. If you're concerned about the amount, don't worry. When you're assigned a boss monster, you'll be able to pick the amount of them you want to slay. The options range from just 3 all the way up to 35. Definitely a relief considering killing 187 General Gardors would take a ridiculously long amount of time and most likely cause us to cancel the task unless you yourself are in fact a boss and have no problem banging out 187 Bandos boss kills. So at this point, I think that's going to be our final absolutely necessary unlock. Everything else is pretty much a matter of opinion. You can decide what else you'd like to have unlocked as you accumulate more and more Slayer points. Moving over to our extensions, it's pretty much going to be the same as last episode. And it's self-explanatory, but I'll get into it anyways just because I like to hear myself talk. The task extensions only need to be bought once we hit the Slayer level required to slay the certain NPC. What I'm saying is, grab the Wyvern extension at level 72, Gargoyles at 75, Necreals at 80, and so on and so on. There are a couple I don't recommend ever wasting your points on, one being Sukas, because let's face it, who wants to kill more of those? They suck in the first place, and Scabberites. Scabberites don't offer much monetary gain, so they wouldn't really be worth it to extend. As far as everything else, when you've got the points, unlock them all. We're always wanting to get those bigger, longer tasks as our combat level increases so we can increase our revenue. We talked about the herb sack last episode, and it really is a good buy, so if you haven't grabbed it yet, you're probably going to want to grab it soon. Having the herb sack around just to pick up those random herbs from monsters that drop them, and especially the Aberrant Spectre tasks, is really going to help you in the long run. It'll help you gain some unexpected herb lore levels and maybe make some extra cash if you decide to sell them off. But I think that's going to bring us to the end of the mini guide for episode 4. We've got one episode left in the series, so in the next episode we're going to get into some optimal gear setups for Slayer monsters and some good recommendations for permanently cancelled tasks, so make sure you keep an eye out for episode 5. We're now going to jump back into my personal Slayer journey that's accompanying this series. In this episode, I've completed another 200,000 Slayer experience, bringing my total experience gain to right around 800,000. So for episode 4, I've completed 10 Slayer tasks and 7 clue scrolls. Adding this to my previous episodes, my running totals are 32 Slayer tasks and 26 clue scrolls. In this episode, I've managed to grab an estimated value of 5.4 mil in drops, while only spending 1 mil on supplies, bringing my pure profit to 4.4 mil. Not our best, but also not our worst. With the 7 clue scrolls I completed, I managed to grab an extra 600k, bringing my total profit for this week to right around 5 mil. Again, not my best, but also not the worst. I believe this to be pretty average gains, but with the potential to be much more given a little luck with drops. For my running totals, I'm now sitting at an estimated value of 26.6 mil, supply cost of 6 mil, and a pure profit of 20.6 mil. For the running clue total, I'm sitting at 2.6 mil, which gives me a combined total of roughly 23.2 mil, give or take a few GP. If you'd like to see these numbers in the actual form, check out the Excel spreadsheets in the description. According to OS Buddy's bank estimator, I'm sitting right around 26 mil for loot gained. This is a bit off, however, as there are some items scattered around my bank that have placeholders, which I will be adding into the final value when I sell everything off in the final episode. But for argument's sake, let's just say I'm at 26 mil. The 26 mil doesn't take into account the amount of supplies that I've used. OS Buddy can't possibly know how much I've used, but at this point, 26 mil is a pretty good raw value for the amount of experience gained. And for my unique clue scroll tab, still not too much luck there, but I've had a slight increase from about 800k last episode to 1.1 mil in this episode. This brings my total OS Buddy estimate to 27.1 mil, give or take a few mil, due to other items not being present. All in all, for 800,000 experience, I think I'm doing fairly well. Again, I consider this loot to be just about average, so if you follow the advice I'm giving you, you should be seeing loot just like this right around level 90 Slayer. Maybe even 85 if you're lucky. But that's going to do it for episode 4. Thanks again everyone for hanging with me throughout this series. I'm still having a blast putting this together and definitely having a blast making some awesome cash. With only 200,000 experience to go, that leaves us with one final episode where we'll see what my actual final loot value turns out to be. So keep an eye out for episode 5 of the Slayer series, I'll have it out as soon as I can. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll try to get to every single one that I can. If you haven't subscribed already, tap that subscribe button on your way out for me. I really appreciate it. But until the next episode, everyone, I'm out of here, so take it easy.